What is up, and welcome to another video. Then the Knicks lose one, a hard one, 116-100. Now, good news. Let's start with good news. The MRI came back clean. He actually needed an MRI. He took an MRI. Jalen Brunson, I'm talking about. That came back clean. Clean. Took an x-ray at Cleveland. Negative. Took MRI. That's the tissue of it. I'm not a doctor, but that is what I heard. The tissue is what they're the tissue of the bone. I thought a tissue was just this, but I guess it's a bone too. So the tissue of the bone is it need to get checked out because maybe something bad happened just in case. Need to check that out. But hey, he's fine. Jalen Brunson's probably back against the Magic. Going to be a dogfighted game, but let's get into an actual game that we want to talk about. Um, this team was led by Dejounte Murray, and I think it's kind of led better. And I feel like I have more clarity with Dejounte Murray on this team. They don't have to do this exotic coverage where they, run a um uh run like a weird blitz and try to scramble out of it, which their scrambling defense whenever they're in rotation wasn't good at all. And the Knicks didn't really get them in rotation at all, which I think is kind of the biggest part. Is the Knicks did not get this team in rotation. And the Hawks are one of the worst when it comes to getting rotation. Hence why they run doubles and they always get scored by like 1,000 points on them when they run doubles, is because they have nothing behind that. And their offense just feels the ball's moving more. You have decent players: Sadiq Bey, Dejounte Murray, Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson. Let me change that. Change subject. Smooth move to the next subject. He's an MIP candidate. I don't know if he'll win it. Tyrese Max is definitely up there. Tyrese Halliburton, but he's an MIP candidate. He probably missed a few too much games, but he's gonna be a star. He's gonna be a star, and I think that's floor. His floor star. The way he performed today, inside, outside, he's a threat. He's a threat to score, and he's pushed his DeAndre Hunter to the bench. And I think if they build this right, I don't know, if they build this right, Trae Young and Jalen Johnson will be one of the best duos in the league. I think it has potential if they build this thing right. Um, that's one of the things. How do they build around Trae Young in the future? Do they trade him? And I have this all to say, but I think Jalen Johnson, Trae Young, you could trade Dejounte Murray, surround them with veterans that can shoot and play defense, draft like Connect or something, or Cody Williams. I don't even know who's gonna be back there for you. I'm not a draft expert. I'm actually getting into college basketball, but I'm not that much of a draft expert. But I know Johnny Furphy, get him, good shooter, can defend, like smart. You get those type of guys, and you could surround them with Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, and maybe you move Clint Capella if the trade is there. I don't think you just throw him away, even though he's not having the best season. He did have a good game today, because he's not having the best season in the world. I don't think you just trade him for nothing. I think you have to get something. But Onyeka Okongwu is going to be somebody that you have to go on with at the 5 position. Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu as that 4 and 5 spot got to be locked up for the future. I know Clint Capella, great game today. He's probably going to start at the 5 for the rest of the season, but in the future, I see a Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu unless they draft like the next coming of like Shaq. So I think that's gonna be their 4 and 5 for the next few years. Um, can we get a Burks game? And I think getting into the Burks thing, he found a rhythm. Now he's really streaky, and he can have a few times where he just stampedes the catch. He gets the ball, stampedes the catch, gets down, one dribble pull up. He can have plays where he goes up for a pull up three, knocks it down. He gets it off good ball movement, knocks it down. Or he can have plays where he just dribbles around and shoots a contested mid range shot and thinks he's like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. You're not Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. You're Alec Burks. And I think shot selection is big. But it's also hard to say that when the results aren't even good either. But I think shot selection is something that because Deuce McBride, we have him right there to steal all of his minutes. And Deuce McBride played 45 minutes. And, I mean, man, he played 45 minutes. And you know what? I have a kind of. If you see these, minutes. Precious Shoe only played 23 minutes. He did not get injured. I don't understand. You're an NBA basketball coach. How do you not put in the guy who has 15 points on good efficiency? Do you just forget about him? Did you just forget about him? Even in the regular rotation, even if he wasn't shooting 7 for 8, you would still put him in. Like, I just don't understand. He had an amazing block on Dejounte Murray, took him out. Never saw him again in the fourth until 2 minutes, and there was a 15-point game. I guess you want spacing and scoring with Bojan, but it's like you get in this place where you're like, is Bojan really a positive? Like, do you trust him defensively? Like, down the stretch? I don't think you do. At this point, I think it's just put Precious out there. Screw it. I mean, he's playing amazing basketball. You just do not just. He'll give the excuse that, like, okay, Bojan's playing. But again, you're the coach. Make something happen, man. Isaiah Hartenstein was not having a good basketball game. He's gonna have a good one next game probably, but I don't even know next game. His Achilles does not look. He's not playing that well right now, and I think you just have to say, hey, we can go small. Like, put Precious in. That has to be number one. That has to be number one. If you're gonna yell at coach, if you're gonna yell at the coach, I think that has to be number one. Is why was Precious not in? For his defense, for his rebounding, for his blocks, for his points, for his activity. Like, he was making some drives that questioned if that was Julius Randle. That was crazy. Like, he had some moves. Oh, it could. He had like 3 good moves to the basket. It went to halftime. Maybe they'll close down it and be like, okay, let's stop these Precious drives. Nope. First play of the second half, drove right down there. Like, and score with ease. But it's just like those things, you just do not take the guy out. So I don't understand why these minutes are going to players like an Isaiah Hartenstein when he's obviously not having a good game. Even though at the end of the day, Josh Hart scored a lot of points, I think he could have got taken out sometime too. I do like that he got hot in the third, but at the end of the day, I think that you need to pull it. Like, at some point, you just need to pull the plug. You can be like, hey, he doesn't have it tonight. And it's hard because it's Josh Hart, somebody you rely on, but he did get hot, which is like, okay, hindsight is, yeah, he had 14. He went hot in the third. But it's like you have to pull the plug at some point. And I feel like there was a time where he had to do it. And it was a time in, like, before he hit his first 3 where it's like he had 0 points. It was non-existent for him. He was just not looking at the basket. You had to pull him. You had to be like, hey, we cannot have that. You can come in at the start of the fourth, but it's just not your night tonight. And he played great. But I feel like those are the times we have to be like, should we take him out? Should we? And I think that's something you need to look at. But I'm just going through every single possibility of pressure on the floor. And I don't think I honestly don't think it's like a big deal because everybody was playing decent. Like, no one was playing great. So it's just shots weren't going down at that position, at least. The Bojan position, like Hart, like everybody was playing great. I understand that, but thinking about it now, as we break it down here, there's really no place for Precious to play. But I think you just have to play him. You have to find a way. You have to find a way to put him in the game. You have to find a way. The shots were not falling early, and it just became a steep slope to climb up. And even if we climbed up and tied it up, it just was. It took so much energy out of us. And I don't even say the injuries are a cause of running up and down 47 minutes per game. But the thing is, it is these tired legs when you play another game. I know recovery is great nowadays, but man, did Josh Hart not look like he played in the against the Cavs, just energy wise, just knocking down some threes, just didn't look the same. I think it's obviously because he played like 47. It's like, can you cut that down like to 40, 38? Like, we need to preserve him because in these games where we need to win, he needs to be energized. And he just didn't look to score. He looked gassed. In the second half, honestly, the weird thing is in the second half he didn't look gassed anymore. But hey, in the first half, looked pretty gassed. Could have took him out and could have put Precious more. I think that's the biggest thing. Um, ooh, Evan Mobley leaves arena on crutches. You know what that reminds me of the Ennis Freedom, Ennis Cantor, when he had crutches on Knicks and he played in the game when he had crutches. So hey, he could be playing. But yeah, that's a big blow to the Cavs. Evan Mobley needs to get healthy, man. But besides that, um, Burks, as I said, yeah, in a little bit of rhythm. Dib's not putting the pressure as we talked about. But Dante did some great stuff with the dribble, besides him just shooting everything, which him shooting everything, I'm totally fine with. You know why? Because he understood the assignment. He understood Brunson's not there. We need help. So I'm just going to shoot everything I take. And they were open. And I liked every single shot he took, almost. Like maybe one or two I didn't like. But at the end of the day, hey, take them. We're not, what's there to lose? Like, either you make it and everybody goes crazy or you miss it and you're like, okay, at least he tried it. Get back on defense. We're not supposed to win without Jalen Brunson, even though this was a game we were supposed to win. But it was like, yo, Dante, you got to take every single shot you get. And Dante was the number one option. I don't think that's kind of something that people got in their head, but Dante was the number one option here. And he got the number one option type shots. Wasn't efficient, but I like what he did off the dribble. Got McBride free on a transition point. I think the Knicks in transition will really go without Jalen Brunson. Obviously, they're going to be better because their star player kind of slows it down, gets them in the sets, gets them settled. So they were out there in transition and doing great stuff in the open floor. The best, you can look back at the highlights. The best Knicks possessions were when they were out in transition. And that's just the downright point of it is that when the Knicks were in transition, they were getting their best points and they were getting their best actions and they were doing their best stuff. And when they kind of slowed it down, got to 5 seconds in the shot clock, Deuce McBride takes a grenade type shot. It's like, man, that was not good. Those type of plays are not good. But when you push it and you kind of need to, you get good stuff. And I think the Knicks got good stuff when they pushed the ball. And excuse me. I think that's about it. I said before the game, this is a game you could win. This game it kind of is winnable, but you know the Hawks were shooting the ball. The Hawks were shooting the leather off the ball, so you got to give them credit there. They were shooting the leather off the ball, and the Knicks just really didn't have an answer. And the rims were kind of tight. They were kind of tight for the Knicks tonight, but there's some of the shots that, you got the 5 seconds of the shot clock. McBride takes a grenade type of shot and he misses it. So it's like they're probably getting better shots and their ball move was good. Their camaraderie was good. Just them being able to swing the ball, the chemistry was good for them. They were just being able. There was no ball stopper there. If they were a ball stopper, it'd be Dejounte Murray, step back three, which you would drain, or Dejounte Murray three would drain. But the Knicks did great, like ball movement, but I feel like compared to the last game, the Knicks were not moving the ball as much. And when they were getting good stuff, they moved the ball. And I think that's got to be the obvious thing Thibodeau has to point out, is because look at when you were doing good, look at when we were doing bad. The ball was popping, and you were out in transition, the ball was popping. I didn't have to set you up for a play, the ball was moving. The ball was popping, and I think that's great for a team without Jalen Brunson. That's what you need. But yeah, that is going to do it for the video. 5 stars on Spotify, and also subscribe if you're on YouTube. Peace, have a nice day, and let's go Knicks.